Hello, everyone. I'm sitting here thinking about my sermon coming up for this Sunday, thinking about what am I going to talk about? It's a passage that we've all heard a gazillion times in our lives. And even if you don't go to church all the time, you're probably pretty familiar with this passage coming from the 22nd chapter of Matthew. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. Seems rather straightforward and simple, doesn't it? But then it's also quite complicated, quite complex, and often we don't know what to make of it. Well, just to further confuse the issue, I thought about five different things as I was looking at this passage. I'd like to just kind of leave you with them and think about those as we approach Sunday and as we approach this passage. First thing I thought about is, what does it mean that the Pharisees, the guardians of the Torah, the ones who upheld the law of God, the law of Moses, what does it mean that they joined forces with this other group of people, the Herodians, which we know not a whole lot? What does it mean that they joined forces with them to try to ensnare Jesus in some sort of legal trouble? What does that mean? That's the first thing. How is it that these same Pharisees, who were the guardians of the law, the Torah, how is it that when Jesus asked them to show him a coin which was used to pay taxes to the Roman government, how is it that they were able to come up with one of those coins right away, when in fact those coins were considered unclean? Those coins were considered idolatrous because on them they bore the image of Caesar himself, and also talked about him being the the son of the one who was to be worshipped. What's that all about? Why did they have one of those coins in their pockets? And here they are in the temple at that. Number three, when we pair this passage with the Old Testament passage from Isaiah that kind of extols the fact that God had anointed Cyrus the Persian to act on his behalf and free the people from captivity in Babylon, and that was God's work, God's doings. If everyone who is in power is put there, as some people today insist, by God's hands, then what do we make of people who have come along in history, such as Hitler? What do we make of that? Was he an instrument of God? Are we to render our allegiance to any leader? The fourth thing I thought about, when Jesus asked the question, whose image is on that coin, on that denarius? And there it was, the image of Caesar. If his image is imprinted on the coin, where's the image of God imprinted? Is it not, as we look back at Genesis, is it not imprinted on us, you and me, on every human being? And if so, what's the significance of that? Last thing I was thinking about. If we give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and what Jesus is getting at is pay your taxes, what is it that we give God? If we are giving back to Caesar his image, how do we give back to God his image? If we, as we just mentioned, talked about ourselves being his image, does that mean we give our entire selves back to God? Wow, these are some things I'm thinking about for this Sunday. And I think they have great significance for our lives as Christians, especially in this politically charged atmosphere that we find ourselves in the United States right now. What does it mean that we give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but that we give to God what belongs to God? God's blessings be with you as you struggle with those issues. There aren't always easy answers to those questions, but they are ones we have to deal with, and we can. God's blessings be with you as you think about it, and God's blessings be with you as you learn to live into his kingdom.